I am so happy that Nick is not mad at Natalie and is directing everything else at the ladies, because you're not raising your voice to my woman like that. Boy.
You okay?
Yeah?
You need me?
No?
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl, the Brooke Ashley, and today we are here to discuss Summer House Martha's Vineyard, the season 2 finale. Now, I think that we can all agree as a collective that this was the worst finale that we've seen in quite some time. Them cramming the last 4 days into one episode was dumb. And it was also a slap in the face that the most touching part of the episode, when Jasmine had her baby, that only got 30 seconds while the credits were rolling. I was just like, damn. That couldn't have gotten a full 5 minutes. What really stood out to me, especially in the last 20 minutes of this episode, when the whole argument with Bria and Amir started, I said, this group does not know how to have fun. And that is the glaring issue. I have never witnessed such a draining and boring vacation. It's been nothing but tears, meltdowns, breakdowns, talking about somebody's handsy, and this, that, and the third. I'm like, y'all did not have a good time at all. And it's not that I'm trying to come down on y'all, but I just see so much potential in this show, and it would be a shame to see a black show being canceled, especially since there are so few black shows on Bravo. You have Potomac, Atlanta, Married to Medicine, that's it. I'm praying that you guys come back, but if y'all come back, there have to be some major cast changes, and you guys have to make a huge effort to not bicker and argue and cry and fight and fuss and scream every episode. That's not entertaining. But excuse my little rant, y'all. I just get very heated because, again, I don't want to see another black show get canceled. But without further ado, let's just jump right on into it, because you guys already know that we don't have a minute to spare. So the finale episode opens with the continuation of what went down last week, where it's Nick versus everybody. So he's still yelling at Bria. Bria's walking away saying, let it out, let it out. And we know how Bria is. Bria is very immature, insufferable. And Bria, if there is a season 3, you don't need to come back. Maybe you can come up for one weekend as a cute visit, but I do not want to see you come back full time if season 3 does get the green light. No, ma'am. Your attitude is just nasty. No ownership, no accountability, no nothing. But anyhow, we see Nick screaming about how when Bria blacked on everybody last summer, he had her back when nobody else cared. He fed her. And of course, she's still walking off saying, let it out, being dismissive. And now you have Amir in his confessional talking about, oh, I'm just so happy that Nick is not mad at Natalie and he's directing all his anger towards the ladies, because if he talked to my woman like that, like, boy, I said, boy, what? I said, Amir, shut up. Amir knows good and damn well he wouldn't bust a grape, so let's stop. Amir acting like he's some fighter. And also, Amir, if Nick did go off on Natalie, it would have been well-deserved, because Natalie had no business getting her narrow behind up to go over and approach Tasia about anything. When Preston was on my channel last week and he revealed that Amir took the least accountability at the reunion, I'm not surprised. I am truly not surprised. He can't ever own up to anything, can never apologize. Him and Natalie are never wrong. So, you know, I just really can't wait to see how that reunion plays out. And then seeing Nick on Watch What Happens Live, and he said that Amir hasn't given an adequate apology. He just texted him saying, oh yeah, you know, I'm sorry, and that's been that. But you can tell that Nick is still hurt by this whole entire conversation, and he's pissed, and rightfully so. So now we see Nick in his confessional, and he says that his reputation precedes him, and how he's worked very hard to be the man that he is today. Then he goes on to say he doesn't know what the motivation behind all this is, about him being flirty and being handsy with the ladies. Then he says, is it that important to have something to talk about? Because words matter. And he is absolutely correct, because you can't take certain things back. Nick could lose jobs, opportunities, People could blackball him because of what's being said about him on this show that happened to be lies. We saw this play out on season 7 of Potomac when Giselle and Ashley lied on Chris Bassett. I really wanted to jump through the TV and just curse Bria out because when she was outside talking to Simon, she's like, he's just yelling and cursing, he's getting away with bad behavior, and he's only defensive because he's guilty. That's what guilty people do. I said, I really hope that Nick wore you out at this reunion because how dare you? How is Nick guilty because he's upset that you guys are lying on him? You guys are implying things that could have serious consequences and could ruin his life, could ruin his reputation if people believe it to be true. So the audacity and the unmitigated gall for you to say that, oh, he's defensive because he's guilty. Once again, Bria, you don't need to be back on this show. Bria is insufferable. She has no redeeming qualities. Every time there's an episode centered around her, it's about drama that she started. She's always whining, crying, and yelling, acting like a brat. She's not funny or interesting. It's just, why is she here? And what really trips me out is that my sister has the same name. So it pains me to speak so poorly about Bria because I feel like I'm talking about my sister, but I'm like, no, it's not your sister. Talking about Bria from the show, but it pains me that Bria and my sister have the same name because I love my sister. I mean, that is my girl, and she's the sweetest. And the fact that somebody has her name and is just the most insufferable person, it really breaks my heart. But if Bria gets fired, I will not be upset. Honestly speaking, we can fire quite a few cast members. I think a good 5 need to go. Bria, Jordan, and Amir are at the top of my list. They can go. And Shanice, I don't care for Shanice. I think that Shanice is annoying. Shanice can go too. Give us 5 new people and you can even bring Phil back. And have you noticed that Jordan has barely said 2 words in these last 5 episodes? The last time we heard her speak was when she had that meltdown in episode 4. So now you have Preston asking, how do we move forward? And Nick's like, well, I feel like I can't be myself. So now Summer interjects and points out that Bria, Noelle, and Shanice all said that he never touched them. So why are they even saying this? Then she goes on to add that they're pretty much messing up Nick and Tasia's relationship. I said 2 points for Summer, and it's a sad day when Summer is making sense and the most rational out of everybody. So now Bria's back in the house. She goes upstairs to her room. She's talking about how she's not trying to be a part of Nick and his girlfriend's relationship. And I said, Bria, please stop, because you definitely inserted yourself when you were flapping your gums on the hammock with Natalie, Noelle, and Shanice talking about, oh yeah, I'm not saying that Nick's a hoe, but he is flirty. And if somebody said, oh, I want to F you, he would definitely be down. You were saying a whole lot. And then you were sitting up there nodding your head when Natalie said, oh, well, maybe I'll go and tell Tasia. So stop it. We see Alex go upstairs to get Bria. He lets her know that conversations about her are being had, and it would be best if she would come downstairs and say her piece. So now we see Preston talking about how Bria is a child. They all know it because she's the only one who walks away when they have arguments, and how nobody else does that. And I said, but Preston, here is my issue with you. I feel like you allowed Bria and Jordan to slide because I do not understand for the life of me why none of y'all have addressed Bria and her antics. But God forbid Jasmine does one thing, you guys are down her throat about it. But I just don't understand why you keep allowing Bria to behave like she's 5 years old. Noelle, I'm not going to hold you. Miss Mamas, the apology that you gave Nick, you could have kept that. I felt like it was a non-apology of sorts, because when you said, Nick, I apologize for how things were relayed to Tasia, but I still stand on what I said. I said, girl, well, what you said is some BS in the words of Candy Burris. You could have kept that. Now, I watched this episode twice. Did Shanice ever apologize? Let me know, because I could have sworn I didn't hear her say anything. She was just standing there looking stupid like she usually does. But why am I not surprised, though? Because Shanice can't own up to anything. So now Bria comes back down to talk to Nick. And Alex says, I think we all need to speak and just hash this out, because honestly, this has blown out of proportion. It's now turning into something that it does not need to be. And that's one thing about this group. It feels like everything is always on a level 10. And when Preston revealed in my interview that this whole situation was like 3 hours long, I believe it, because the way they will drag out an issue. So anyhow, Nick addresses Bria's comments about her saying that he was flirting with her on the boat. And Bria says, yeah, it was innocent flirting. I wasn't saying it like you wanted to F me. And I said, okay, Bria, that's not true, because what you were saying on the hammock, you were definitely implying that he is a flirt and he has ill intentions where he's trying to step out on Tasia. And let's not act like you weren't flirting back, Miss Mamas, because you definitely asked him if he would take you to Nobu. And I truly hate how dismissive Bria is, because when Nick responded and she said, see, you're getting defensive again, and I'm just trying to speak my piece. Then when she goes on to say, I'm not trying to get you, I'm not trying to out you or twist your words, I don't even talk about you. I said, lie again. You're talking about how this man is going to cheat on his girlfriend, how he's flirty and handsy with other women who aren't Tasia. But yet you want to lie to him, talk about, oh, I don't talk about you. And again, I really hope and pray that Nick wore you out at this reunion, because you're lying to his face. And I really felt bad because Nick looked so defeated and he just gave up. You could tell that Nick felt like there was not going to be any resolution. They're not going to own up to anything or apologize. So why keep talking about this? He goes on to say, look, I think we're all good. Alex says, it's time for bed. It's been a day. And I just was sitting there like, what a shame. You guys only have 4 more days. And for you all to spend the last few moments fighting like this, rehashing drama that Natalie started, is shameful. Nick, you're a bit too nice. This is why people play in your face, because why on earth would you hug Bria afterwards talking about, oh, we're good? I would have paid Bria dust. So now it's the next morning. I believe it's day 12. Simon and Natalie are leaving. And baby, when Natalie got in that car, I said, thank you, Jesus, won't he do it? But Amir says that he's sad that Natalie's leaving because he feels like his fun is leaving. And I said, Amir, if it is so taxing to be away from Natalie for a few days, then it's time for you to see yourself off the show. Nobody wants to hear you whine and complain and cry about how you just hate being away from Natalie and you just miss her so much. We don't want to hear it. We don't care. Just leave the show. And I will be damned if Bravo actually does comply to your demands about she needs to be full-time or else you won't be on the show anymore. If that's the case, sir, none of us will be watching, because we didn't sign up to watch a show that's about Black people enjoying Martha's Vineyard for you to throw in your messy non-Black girlfriend who doesn't even like the rest of the cast. No thank you, we'll pass. And I have never heard one man talk about his fears in a relationship so many times. Amir talking about when Natalie was there for the few days, he didn't have that fear of doing something wrong. And now that she's gone, he has to go back to tempering himself and behaving. I said, one, y'all don't go out to clubs. Y'all don't have any fun. So I don't even know why Natalie would be jealous of what you're doing when she's not around, because you guys don't do anything anyway. If it's all that, then maybe this might not be the right relationship, because every single episode is Natalie told me she'll kill me and then cut my balls off if I even say hi to another girl. Like, we don't want to hear that. It doesn't go unnoticed that you allow your non-Black girlfriend to talk to you any kind of way. and say whatever she wants to you, but let it be a black woman who says something to you or raises their voice, now it's the end of the world, now you're pissed off. I just find it interesting, and that's all I'll say about that. Amir definitely showed us all throughout this finale episode why he does not need to be back for next season. So since Bravo decided to cram in the last 4 days in this episode, we all flipped to everybody getting ready for Alex's Feel the Space event. Now we all know that Alex sings, he hosts these events in New York, and he says that it's a musical community. So he's going to be having it at the Lighthouse. He has other musicians and his friends coming to perform with him. And now we see everybody pull up to the Lighthouse, and they're going to be painting while he's singing. Now, I'm not going to hold you guys. I don't have a whole lot to say about this scene. The only thing I have to say is Alex sounded pretty good, but watching him sing and they're just painting, I was bored to tears. I said, okay. So they're back home from Alex's event, and we see Summer in her room, and she texts Preston to come up because she wants to talk. So we see Preston and Jordan come up to talk to Summer, and Summer says, look, I don't want to be in this house where I make people feel uncomfortable, and I think it's best that I leave this trip early. So Summer goes on to say that she can't pretend that she's happy anymore, and how she wants to be with her Nana and her family and friends and take a reset. So now you have Jordan saying that she understands because she's in a situation where everybody's hurt. And now you have Preston saying that he'll be there for her whenever she needs him, and now they hug it out. So here's my thing. They only have 2 days left of this trip. You stayed this long, you might as well stay for the entire time and collect your full check. Because we know how Bravo is when you don't film all your scenes and you miss events, they dock your pay. So I'm just thinking, Miss Mamas, if I were you, I would have just said, you know what? I stayed all this time. I might as well just thug it out and stay for the entire time and collect all 15 days worth of this check versus only 13 days. I don't know. I just feel like it's kind of silly to leave 2 days early. If you were going to leave early, you should have left 5 days ago. You should have left around episode 6 when it was only day 8 or day 9. So we see Jordan in her confessional saying that Summer obviously wasn't ready to talk about certain things, but when you push things down, they eventually come up. Then we see Jordan share with Summer that if Summer doesn't tell people what's going on, then they won't know how to help her. And while that's a good point, I do find it rich coming from Jordan, because Jordan, Summer did hint a few episodes back that she was going through something, and you kind of dismissed her. But although I've been very hard on Summer this entire season, I will say this. I'm glad that she recognizes where she went wrong and how she has been trying to mask her sadness and her anger, and she's been lashing out at people. But Miss Summer, I really hope that this is a wake-up call to get some help and talk to a therapist. And I don't say that with any malice or any shade. I mean that from the bottom of my heart. There is nothing wrong with talking to somebody. We all have issues. We all have obstacles and things that sort of set us back emotionally, because we're all human, right? Nobody goes through life unscathed. But next time, especially if there is a season 3, and if there is a season 3, that means you guys will be filming this summer. I really hope for your sake and for the viewers' sake, you will go and talk to somebody so that way we can see a fun and lighthearted Summer who is able to deal with her issues in a rational way and just let her hair down. Please do not come back onto this show if it's going to be more of the same. And truth be told, Summer, you should have sat this season out, because this was a very rough go for you. So now it's the next morning, and this is day 13. And we see Nick and Amir hang out to have some guy time. They're going golfing. So they're playing golf, and now Nick is talking about how Tasia actually got him and her golf lessons, and they start next week. So Amir's asking about how did Tasia feel about Natalie, and Nick's like, look, nothing's ever easy. And now Amir wants to know, when they ended the conversation, what did Noelle, Bria, and Shanice tell him that night? So now we see a clip of Bria, Noelle, Shanice having a conversation with Nick, and they're telling him how it was pretty much all Natalie's fault. And Nick says, so I yelled at the wrong people. It should have been Natalie. And they all say yes. So Nick shares that they put all the blame on Natalie. And of course, Amir's pissed. And I said, Amir, why are you angry? Natalie told you that she was planning on telling Tasia what they were talking about on the hammock. You encouraged your girl to be messy. So now, why are you so upset and surprised that Noelle, Bria, and Shanice are blaming your messy-ass girlfriend? Help me understand how you feel like your girlfriend has been wronged. She inserted herself in business that had nothing to do with her. Amir really blew me because he sounded so dumb talking about, oh, Natalie is all about girl code, even though her hands aren't completely clean. I said, sir, do you hear yourself? The number one rule in girl code is what we talk about stays between us. We're not running back to our men telling them what we were talking about. That's an automatic no. So already your girlfriend is out of line. And you make no sense saying that she believes in girl code. No, she doesn't. Now, back at the house, we see Summer packing up. And when she went downstairs to tell Jasmine and Alex that she was leaving early, they both looked like, okay. Alex looked like, thank you, Jesus. He was so tired of her. Baby, the way nobody batted an eye. So now we see Summer trying to find Noelle. Noelle is in the bed sleeping. Jasmine's just like, hey girl, Summer's about to leave. Do you want to say bye? Noelle says no. And I hear her because I would feel the same way. This woman pushed me, low-key set me up to look stupid with Alex. There's no way that I'd be saying anything to her. Bye, Summer. Once again, everybody in the house was over Summer because she goes outside to say goodbye to Bria and Shanice. They both looked at her like, okay, girl, like, all right, bye. Bria's like, you need a spiritual bath and a cleanse because your energy is just crazy. And I said, like I said earlier, the audacity, because Bria's energy is just as bad, if not worse. The delusions of it all to think that Bria could tell somebody else that they need to be cleansed and healed when she's the main one who needs healing. And the way Shanice didn't give a damn, she was like, yeah, she needs to go home. I just said, ooh. It is clear that you guys are not real friends. So Summer's Uber arrives and she is off to the airport. Now, mind you, when Summer left, Nick and Amir were coming back from the golf course. So they get a text from Preston that Summer has left the house. And Nick is upset because he considers Summer to be one of his closest friends in the house. And he says, I would have loved to have closed out the summer with her, but people have to do what's best for them. So now we have Bria, Noelle, Jordan, and Alex in the pool, and Milo's in the pool with them. And at one point, Milo jumps out the pool and he's running around the yard. So Bria was talking to Noelle about something. I think it was about Summer, but she gets distracted because she wants to find Milo. So she's whistling for Milo. He's not coming around. And now she gets out the pool and she's worried. And I guess like maybe 8 minutes have passed by and she still couldn't find him. So now she starts panicking. Now everybody's searching for Milo. And I said, now maybe I might be heartless because I don't think that I would have helped find Milo. You just can't treat people poorly. And then when you need them in a panic, now you want them to jump up and spring into action? I don't think so. And remember, when Nick needed help setting up his party, Lux on the Bluffs, what did Bria say? Bria was talking about, oh, I can't focus on that. I can't help him. Get a maid service. Did she not? So now she needs Nick's help to help find Milo because he's now missing. But they eventually find Milo. I think it was 32 minutes later. And I knew they would find him. I wasn't worried about that. I said they have cameras, a production crew. They're going to find him. And another reason why this cast drives me up the wall, because we already wrapped up the drama between Nick and the girls, what they were saying about him. That's already done. Can we please spend the last 48 hours trying to have some fun? Everybody's now in the kitchen. They're cooking dinner. And Amir brings up what was said to Nick the night before. He's like, I'm just trying to understand, what did you guys tell Nick? Because he's upset that the girls threw his girlfriend under the bus, even though Natalie was a part and the ringleader of all the drama in the first place, but I digress. So Amir's asking Bria, why was his name brought up in the conversation downstairs last night when Natalie's not here to speak her piece? I said, oh my gosh, she had no business going up to Tasia in the first place. So Bria's like, I didn't say anything. Now you have Shanice jumping in. She's like, Amir, this whole situation is dead now. Just leave it alone. We already moved past this. This happened yesterday. Like, oh my gosh, let it go. So of course Amir's ignoring that. And he's like, I'm just trying to figure out what was said to Nick. Amir and Bria go back and forth. Bria's raising her voice. Amir's pointing out how every time she opens up her mouth, she's escalating the situation by raising her voice. So you have Bria maintaining that she's innocent and didn't say anything. And then she says, look, don't involve me in your girlfriend's mess. Just admit that Natalie is messy and let's move on. Amir sounded so delusional, saying that he's not happy with how they're trying to pin this all on Natalie. And he was like, where's the ownership? Why can't you and your girlfriend own up to the fact that she had no business going up to Tasia in the first place, trying to warn her about anything regarding Nick? That was not her place to do so. She was better off sitting there and eating her food and minding her business. So of course, voices are raised because that's how things get in this house, honey. Nobody can ever have a conversation. It always escalates to screaming. So Jasmine's like, Bria, calm down, count to 10, just relax, don't start yelling. And Bria starts counting to 10. So child, Nick gets irritated. He's like, counting to 10, really? How old are you? So now you have Bria talking about, oh my gosh, whatever, Urkel. I just said, child, you really can't seem to win, especially when you're up against Bria. So now you have Bria screaming about how she wasn't the one who brought up Tasia and Nick. That was Amir's broad. I said, girl, not broad. Bria's screaming at Amir now at the top of her lungs, and you have Amir screaming. He's like, stop yelling at me, stop raising your voice at me, and then he walks out the way Bria does. And while Bria annoys me to no end, I can always give credit where credit is due. While Bria is not innocent in this matter, she is correct about Amir owning up to the fact that Natalie is also at fault and that she was messy as hell for even saying anything to Tasia. At the end of the day, Amir knew that his girlfriend was going to tell Tasia about what she had heard from the other women. Anybody with common sense would have said, babe, stay out of it. It's not your place. You're going to create problems for all of us. So keep your mouth shut and don't say a word. But Amir encouraged Natalie to be messy, and now he wants to stand back and act like, oh, I can't believe they're gonna, talk about my girlfriend is messy and put the blame on her. No, she is to blame. And also, Amir, if you want your girlfriend on this show full time next season, be very clear that this will get brought up again. And she will have to deal with the consequences of her running her mouth. I just don't like the fact that Amir can never own up to anything. It's always somebody else's fault. But Amir comes back into the house, and of course it's tense. So Jasmine's playing mediator, and she's like, Bria, can you please acknowledge that your frustrations led to you yelling at Amir? So she owns it and says yes. And then she goes on to add that nobody encouraged Natalie to tell Tasia anything. And looking around the room, everybody else was just so annoyed because it's another night of you guys yelling and arguing instead of trying to make the most of your final moments there. I'm like, damn, you guys only have a day and a half left, and this is how you want to close it out. And honestly, I see why Bravo crammed in the last 4 days for one episode. Because honestly, nothing really happened besides you guys yelling and arguing. So now it's the next morning, and mind you, this is day 14. So it's their last full day on the island. Alex, Nick, Shanice, and Amir go for a bike ride. Of course, they bring up the argument between Bria and Amir last night. Alex says, look, last night was hectic. I hate arguing with women, and we need to find a way to control ourselves when they get angry at us. So Amir's like, I understand that because I hate it too, but I think that it's BS that they can yell at us, but we can't really clap back at them. It's a double standard. So Alex says, look, when things like that happen, just walk away. And I said, honestly and truthfully, y'all should not be arguing like this every night on a vacation. Y'all should be having fun. We shouldn't even be having these conversations about, well, you know, when she does this or when they do that, just disengage and walk away. No, y'all need to be having some more fun. Let's focus on how can we actually have some fun and not be at each other's throats day in and day out. Again, I think it might be best if you guys only spend maybe 6 or 7 days on the island versus 15 days. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe it's too much time and that's why you guys are just so angry by day 5. Maybe give us a week of you guys on Martha's Vineyard and then call it a day. We flip back to the house, the ladies are talking, and they're talking about soulmates. Honestly, I didn't really care too much for the conversation. We see Bria saying that Simon's not her soulmate. Her soulmate is somewhere in Tribeca. And I said, girl, well, if that's the case, then why are you still with Simon then? She goes on to say that she sees herself getting married to Simon, but he's not her, like, deep soulmate. I said, okay, girl, I guess. I don't know. Bria talks out 2 sides of her mouth. I just really don't care at this point. I don't. I feel like if you're so unhappy with this man, then just break up. Why is that so hard? You're not married to him. You guys don't have children. So you should just be free and find your soulmate then if Simon isn't it. But now it's time for their last dinner together. And it's Jasmine hosting her Connect and Reflect dinner on the beach. She has a chef and everything was beautifully decorated. The table looked gorgeous. And that food looked amazing. And you already know that my mouth was watering, honey. I said, Chef Lori, you did that. But yeah, I mean, the dinner looked good and all, but not a whole lot happened. They only showed 4 minutes of the dinner because we see them impersonating each other. Alex is impersonating Preston. Now, Bria didn't like it because he was imitating Preston when Preston read Bria. When he was like, oh, you want to go cry now? So you have Bria's face all twisted up. I said, girl, stop. You'll be okay. Take a joke like everybody else. So Amir imitates Shanice. He's like, oh my gosh, who wants a shot? Who wants to get naked? You have Bria impersonating Jordan. Of course, she's not saying anything. She's just using her hands because if you think about it, Jordan has been on mute these last 6 episodes, like I said. So Jordan's like, yeah, very much me, but next time, more hand movements. And not gonna hold you, but that was kind of dry to me. I said, really, can we get some conversation going? Can we play some music? Like, give us something other than you guys impersonating each other. That's it? That's the last dinner? But you do see Nick say that he wants to hold the floor to reflect about this summer and what they can do better. And so you have Amir saying that he apologizes to Bria for raising his voice. So now Bria says, thank you, I appreciate that. And she goes on to say that she doesn't like arguing with people. They all said, excuse me. I said, Bria, are you serious right now? Are we serious right now? That's the lie of the year. You are the most argumentative person on this cast. You love to argue. You live to argue and go back and forth. So why are you lying saying I don't like to argue? That's all you've been doing all season long. But Bria does apologize for raising her voice. So now Jordan jumps in and says that she's not sorry because she spends a lot of her time going over what she's done wrong and she's not doing that anymore. I said, oh, really? You go over what you do wrong? Is that so? Because we've yet to hear you show any remorse about the things that you have said and done to other people. You haven't issued an apology to anybody in this house. You couldn't even apologize to Summer about you talking to her in that nasty tone. But she goes on to say that going forward, she wants to use what she did wrong to do right. And I said, okay, girl. I said, she's just saying anything at this point. So now it's the last day. Everybody's packing up to go home. And it was clear from everybody's body language that they were all ready to go back home. But anyhow, we see Jasmine closing it out. She's in the confessional one last time, and she says that this summer, going into the house, she knew that she had to put out quite a few fires. Then she says, last summer, it ended with me and Silas not sure where we stood in our friendships, and also us dealing with being newlyweds. And now this summer, I'm navigating being with child, and he's not there. So as she's talking, the whole group joins her in the confessional, and I have to say that was a cute moment, how they all closed it out. And I said, it's just sad that we didn't get more of the happier moments with this group. It really is sad, because that was cute seeing them all join together and just close out the season. But the last 30 seconds of the episode end with us seeing Jasmine give birth to her baby boy. And it was a touching moment because Silas came, and you could tell that Jasmine was ecstatic that her husband was there. She hasn't seen him in a long time. So the fact that he was able to make it for the birth of their child, that's really a very special moment.
Handsome. Yeah. It's all good.
Yes, 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 yes. We see that she named their son after Silas, so he's Silas Jr. And again, congratulations to Jasmine and Silas. A huge blessing, a very sweet moment. But bravo, I was irritated by how you showed that at the tail end. I feel like Jasmine deserved more than just the last 30 seconds while the credits were rolling. That was a real slap in the face. And it feels like you guys just don't care about this show. But y'all, that was the finale episode. That was season 2 of Summer House Martha's Vineyard. And all I can say is it was a very disappointing finale. And if I had to grade this season, I would give them a C, a solid C, because there was just too much focus on the drama. There wasn't enough fun. I don't know, it just felt like a very discombobulated season. I just didn't feel the love and the friendship with this cast. And then finding out that the majority of this cast is still divided today, I don't know how it's going to be if they do get a season 3. It's going to be more of the same with even more issues. And again, that's not fun to watch for anybody. But Summer House Martha's Vineyard, I really hope that you guys get back to friendship, trying to have fun and enjoying yourselves, not taking yourselves too seriously, and just giving us an enjoyable experience. Because I'm sorry, but this season fell flat, but I'm praying that the reunion gives and that hopefully you guys will be asked back. But guys, that was my recap. Let me know what you all thought about this season, about this finale. And as always, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed. And you already know what to do. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you all later. Bye.